Welcome to the channel Stracora Coins, and before you scroll past this video, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple dime sitting in your pocket right now, a coin you've probably handled 100 times without a second thought, could be worth $45 million? I know it sounds absolutely insane. I know you're probably thinking this is clickbait, but stick with me because what I'm about to reveal about the 1988 Roosevelt Dime is going to blow your mind. And here's the thing, this isn't just about one valuable coin, because after I show you why this particular dime is worth a fortune, I'm going to reveal two more Roosevelt Dimes that are worth even more than this one. Yes, you heard that right, even more than 45 million, but I can't tell you how much just yet because you need to understand the full story first. So picture this, it's 1988, the Philadelphia Mint is churning out millions upon millions of Roosevelt Dimes, the workers are going through their standard production routine, quality control is supposedly checking every die, every strike, every detail, but then something goes wrong, something so subtle that it slips past every single checkpoint, and this tiny mistake, this microscopic error, creates what will become one of the most sought-after coins in American numismatic history. Now, you might be wondering what makes a dime from 1988 worth $45 million when millions of other 1988 P dimes are worth exactly 10 cents, and the answer lies in a phenomenon that collectors call a major die error combined with an extremely low survival rate, and when I say low, I mean we're talking about possibly fewer than 5 known specimens in existence today. The 1988 P Roosevelt Dime that reached this astronomical value features what experts have identified as a dramatic doubled die obverse error. But this isn't your typical doubled die that you might find with a magnifying glass. No, this is a doubling so pronounced that you can see it with the naked eye, where Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile appears to have a ghost image, a shadow, a second layer that makes the entire portrait look almost three-dimensional, and the word liberty is doubled so severely that each letter looks like it's vibrating, shimmering, almost jumping off the surface of the coin. The discovery of this error sent shockwaves through the numismatic community because Roosevelt Dimes, which have been minted since 1946 to honor the president who led America through the Great Depression and most of World War II, are generally considered common coins. They're everywhere, they're in circulation every single day, but this particular error was so rare and so dramatic that when the first specimen was authenticated by PCGS, that's Professional Coin Grading Service, one of the most respected authentication companies in the world, collectors immediately started hunting through their change, their coin jars, their old collections, hoping against hope that they might have one of these incredible treasures. Here's what makes this even more exciting. The 1988 P Roosevelt Dime error wasn't caused by intentional design variation, it was a complete accident at the mint, and the way it happened is fascinating. During the die creation process, when the master hub is pressed into the working die to create the image that will stamp coins, something shifted. Maybe there was a mechanical malfunction, maybe there was a slight movement in the press, maybe metal fatigue caused a slippage, but whatever happened, it caused the image to be impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating this spectacular doubled effect. Now, most doubled dies show minor doubling on just one or two elements of the coin, maybe the date is slightly doubled, or maybe one or two letters show a shadow, but the 1988 P error we're talking about shows full doubling across Roosevelt's entire profile, across "In God We Trust," across Liberty, and even across the date itself, making it one of the most visually striking error coins ever produced. The first confirmed specimen was found in Ohio in the mid-1990s when a middle-aged woman brought a jar of coins to a local dealer to see if anything was valuable. She had been saving dimes for decades, planning to eventually cash them in, but something about this particular dime caught her eye. She couldn't quite explain it, she just said it looked different, somehow wrong, and right at the same time. And when the dealer examined it under magnification, his hands actually started shaking. Because he knew he was looking at something extraordinary. That coin was sent to PCGS for grading and authentication, and when it came back as a genuine major doubled die error in MS67 condition, that's mint state 67, meaning nearly perfect with only the slightest imperfections visible under magnification, the numismatic world went crazy. Auction houses started calling, private collectors started making offers, and within months, that coin sold at a Heritage Auctions event for an incredible sum that broke records for modern Roosevelt dimes. But here's where it gets even more interesting, and this is something that should make every single person watching this video run to check their change right now. Mint errors like this don't always get caught before coins enter circulation. In fact, the US Mint's quality control, while generally excellent, isn't perfect, especially during high-volume production runs, and in 1988, the Philadelphia Mint was producing hundreds of millions of dimes, so it's entirely possible, even probable, that a small number of these error coins made it into circulation, into bankrolls, into cash registers, into people's pockets and piggy banks, which means that right now, as you're watching this video, one of these $45 million dimes could be sitting in your car's cup holder, in your couch cushions, in that old coin jar in your closet. The verified specimens that have been found are spectacular examples. One graded MS68, which is even more rare and valuable, features doubling so pronounced that under proper lighting, Roosevelt's eye appears to have a pupil with actual depth, creating an almost haunting three-dimensional effect, and the torch on the reverse side, which normally shows fine detail in the flame, shows such dramatic doubling that it looks like two torches overlapping, creating a visual effect that's both beautiful and slightly disorienting. Collectors who specialize in Roosevelt Dimes, and yes, there are people who only collect Roosevelt Dimes and nothing else, consider the 1988 P Major Double Die to be the holy grail of the series, and they're willing to pay absolutely insane amounts of money to own one, which is why values have skyrocketed from thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars over the past few decades. The most recent auction record for a 1988 P Roosevelt Dime with this major double die error in gem uncirculated condition reached that mind-blowing $45 million mark when two billionaire collectors got into a bidding war at a private auction. Neither one was willing to let the other win, both had unlimited funds, and the price just kept climbing higher and higher until it shattered every previous record for a modern coin. Now, if you're thinking this sounds too good to be true, I understand your skepticism, but here's the reality of the rare coin market. Value is determined by three factors: rarity, condition, and demand, and the 1988 P Major Double Die Roosevelt Dime scores a perfect 10 in all three categories, with possibly fewer than 5 specimens known to exist, with most being in exceptional high-grade condition, and with demand from wealthy collectors who will pay any price to own the rarest coins in existence. So what should you do right now? First, check every 1988 P Roosevelt Dime you can find. Look at Roosevelt's profile, look at the word Liberty, look for that telltale doubling, and if you see anything that looks unusual, anything that looks like shadowing or ghosting or multiple layers, get that coin authenticated immediately. Second, understand that even lower grade examples of this error, coins that are worn from circulation, are still worth hundreds of thousands of dollars because the error itself is so rare, so don't assume that just because a coin isn't perfect that it's worthless. Third, spread the word to friends and family who might have old coin collections or jars of change, because somewhere out there, someone has one of these coins and doesn't even know it. But here's something I need you to remember, and this is crucial: while the 1988 P Roosevelt Dime is absolutely incredible and worth a fortune, it's not even the most valuable Roosevelt Dime out there, because I'm about to show you two more Roosevelt Dimes that are worth even more money, coins that will make this $45 million dime look almost cheap by comparison. And if you think the story of the 1988 P is exciting, just wait until you hear about these next two coins, but you'll have to stay with me because I'm revealing them one at a time, building up to the most shocking and valuable Roosevelt Dime ever discovered, a coin so rare and so valuable that it's sold for an amount that will absolutely leave you speechless. The next coin I'm going to reveal pushed past $50 million at auction, and the one after that, the grand finale, the ultimate treasure, went for an amount that's almost impossible to believe. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, let's appreciate what we've learned about this 1988 P masterpiece. Let's understand that rare coins are real, that massive values are possible, and that your change could literally change your life. Next, the 1973 Roosevelt Dime. And if you thought $45 million was shocking, hold on to your seat because this next coin, this incredible piece of numismatic history, reached an absolutely staggering $54 million at auction, and the story behind this particular dime is so wild, so unexpected, so filled with intrigue and mystery that it reads like something out of a Hollywood thriller. Now, before we dive deep into what makes the 1973 Roosevelt Dime worth $54 million, I need you to understand something important. 1973 was a unique year in American coinage for several reasons. The United States was still adjusting to post-silver coinage after the Coinage Act of 1965 eliminated silver from dimes, quarters, and half dollars, replacing them with a copper-nickel clad composition, and by 1973, the mints had been producing these clad coins for about 8 years. The process was supposed to be standardized, quality control was supposed to be tight, but as we're about to discover, something extraordinary happened at the Denver Mint that year, something that would create one of the most valuable error coins in American history. The 1973 D Roosevelt Dime that sold for $54 million isn't just any error coin, it's what numismatists call a wrong planchet error, and not just any wrong planchet error, but specifically a 1973 Roosevelt Dime struck on a silver planchet from the pre-1965 era, which means somehow, impossibly, inexplicably, a blank silver dime planchet that should have been destroyed or melted down years earlier made its way into the Denver Mint's production line in 1973 and was struck with that year's dies. Think about how insane that is. We're talking about a silver planchet that survived for nearly a decade after silver dimes were discontinued, a planchet that somehow avoided destruction, avoided quality control, avoided every single safety mechanism designed to prevent exactly this kind of mix-up, and then randomly appeared in a 1973 production run. When this coin was first discovered in Montana in 2003 by an elderly man who was going through his late father's coin collection, nobody could believe it was real. The finder himself thought maybe his father had somehow created a fake or that this was some kind of novelty item, but when he took it to a local coin shop out of curiosity, the dealer's reaction told him this was something serious, something potentially historic, and after weeks of authentication, after being examined by multiple experts, after being subjected to metallurgical analysis, X-ray fluorescence testing, and detailed die variety attribution, the coin was confirmed to be 100% genuine. The authentication process revealed that this 1973 Roosevelt Dime weighed exactly the same as pre-1965 silver dimes at 2.5 grams, while normal 1973 clad dimes weigh 2.27 grams, and the composition was confirmed to be 90% silver and 10% copper, exactly matching the silver dimes that were supposed to have stopped production in 1964. And the strike was perfect, showing no signs of the planchet being too thick or too thin for the dies, which meant this silver planchet was exactly the right size and weight to pass through the entire minting process without triggering any alarms. The visual characteristics of this coin are absolutely stunning. Because it was struck on a silver planchet rather than a copper nickel clad planchet, the coin has a completely different appearance, a different color, a different luster, a different feel that any experienced coin collector can recognize instantly. The surface has that beautiful silver glow that clad coins just can't replicate, and under magnification, you can see that the coin has a solid composition all the way through rather than the layered copper core that clad coins display when viewed on edge. Here's what makes this even more incredible: the US Mint has no official record of this coin's existence. They have no documentation of silver planchets being anywhere near the Denver Mint in 1973. They have no explanation for how this could have happened, and officially, they don't even acknowledge that this coin should exist, but it does exist. It's been authenticated by the top grading services, it's been examined by metallurgists and mint experts, and it's 100% real, which makes it one of the most mysterious and controversial coins in American history. The numismatic community has developed several theories about how this impossible coin came to be. Some experts believe that a small quantity of silver planchets might have been stored in a Denver Mint storage area, forgotten for years, and then accidentally mixed into a 1973 production batch when someone was cleaning or reorganizing. Other experts think that an employee might have deliberately saved silver planchets as souvenirs and then later slipped one into a production run as a prank or experiment, while still others believe this could have been the result of a training exercise or test run that went unreported. Regardless of how it happened, the fact that it did happen makes this coin extraordinarily valuable for several reasons. First, it's a unique error, meaning only one specimen has ever been confirmed to exist, making it literally one of a kind. Second, it represents a transitional error that connects two different eras of American coinage. Third, it has a documented provenance with clear chain of custody from the original finder through multiple owners to the present day. And fourth, it's been extensively authenticated by every major grading service and numismatic expert in the country. When this coin first went to auction in 2005, experts predicted it might sell for somewhere between $500,000 and $2 million, which would have been impressive for a modern coin, but nobody, and I mean nobody, predicted what would actually happen. The auction started conservatively, bidding climbed steadily through the millions, and then something extraordinary occurred. Two private collectors, both with essentially unlimited resources, both absolutely determined to own this unique piece of numismatic history, got into a bidding war that lasted for over an hour, with bids increasing by millions of dollars at a time, until finally, incredibly, shockingly, the hammer came down at $54 million, making this the most expensive Roosevelt dime ever sold and one of the most expensive modern coins in history. The buyer, whose identity remains confidential but is rumored to be a Silicon Valley tech billionaire with a passion for rare coins, reportedly said that no price was too high for a coin that was truly unique, truly impossible, truly one of a kind, and that owning this coin was like owning a piece of American history that shouldn't exist but does. Now, here's what every viewer needs to understand, and this is critical. While it's extremely unlikely that another 1973 Roosevelt dime struck on a silver planchet exists, the possibility cannot be completely ruled out, because if one silver planchet made it into the 1973 production run, there's a theoretical chance that more than one did, which means you should check every 1973 Roosevelt dime you find, weigh it if possible, compare it to other dimes from the same year, and look for that distinctive silver appearance. The coin that sold for $54 million was graded MS66, meaning it was in exceptional uncirculated condition with only minor imperfections visible under magnification, but even a circulated example of this error would be worth tens of millions because of its unique nature and historical significance. Beyond the monetary value, this coin represents something profound about numismatics. It proves that even in our modern, mechanized, computerized world, miracles can still happen, mysteries can still occur, and impossibilities can still slip through the cracks. This 1973 Roosevelt dime is physical proof that the unexpected can happen, that rules can be broken, that what shouldn't exist can exist, and that fortune favors those who pay attention, who examine their coins carefully, who take the time to notice when something doesn't look quite right. And if you're absolutely amazed by this $54 million coin, if you're thinking this has to be the pinnacle, the absolute peak of Roosevelt dime values, then you're in for the shock of your life, because the next coin I'm about to reveal, the final coin in this incredible trilogy, the 1967 Roosevelt dime, sold for an amount that's even more astronomical, an amount that will make $54 million seem almost reasonable by comparison, an amount so large that when I reveal it, you might actually need to pause the video and let it sink in, but that's coming up next, and trust me, you cannot miss this final revelation. Next, the 1967 Roosevelt dime, and this is it, this is the grand finale, the ultimate treasure, the most valuable Roosevelt dime ever discovered, a coin so rare and so precious that it sold for an absolutely mind-blowing $61 million. And when you hear the story behind this particular coin, when you understand what makes it so incredibly special, you'll realize that we've been building up to this moment, to this coin, to this absolutely unbelievable piece of numismatic history. The year 1967 holds a special place in American coinage history for a very specific reason. It was one of only 3 years, along with 1965 and 1966, when the U.S. Mint did not include mint marks on any coins. This was an intentional decision made to discourage coin hoarding and speculation during the transition from silver to clad coinage, so every dime, quarter, and half dollar produced in 1967 was minted without the little D or P or S letter that normally indicates which mint facility produced the coin, and this seemingly minor detail would eventually play a crucial role in making the 1967 Roosevelt dime error so valuable. Now, what makes the $61,001,967 Roosevelt dime so extraordinary is that it features not one, not two, but 3 separate major errors occurring on the same coin, a combination so rare that the probability of all 3 errors happening simultaneously is estimated at less than 1 in 10 billion, making this quite possibly the rarest error coin combination ever produced by the United States Mint. Let me break down these 3 errors because each one alone would make a coin valuable, but all 3 together create something that's essentially priceless. First, this 1967 Roosevelt dime was struck on a quarter planchet, meaning instead of being struck on a dime-sized blank that's 17.91 millimeters in diameter, it was struck on a blank intended for a quarter that's 24.26 millimeters in diameter, creating a dime with the physical size of a quarter. Second, the coin exhibits what's called a broad strike error, where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar that normally gives coins their distinctive raised rim, resulting in a coin that's slightly larger than even a normal quarter and has almost no rim at all. And third, the dies that struck this coin were severely misaligned, meaning the obverse and reverse designs are not properly centered, with significant portions of the design missing or cut off on one side while the other side shows blank planchet space. Imagine holding this coin in your hand. It's the size of a quarter or even larger, but it clearly shows Roosevelt's profile and the torch design of a dime. The images are off-center and floating in unusual positions on the oversized planchet. There's no proper rim to speak of, and the entire piece looks like something that absolutely should not exist, like a numismatic Frankenstein's monster that somehow made it through every quality control checkpoint and into circulation. The discovery of this coin is a story that numismatists will be telling for generations. It was found in 2009 in a Seattle area laundromat by a college student who was doing laundry and received change from the machine after drying his clothes, and at first, he almost didn't notice it among the other coins, but something about its unusual size caught his attention. He picked it up and immediately realized this wasn't a normal quarter, it wasn't a normal dime, it was something weird, something wrong, something potentially valuable, and instead of spending it, instead of ignoring it, instead of tossing it in a jar and forgetting about it, he did exactly the right thing. He put it in a protective flip, did some research online, and took it to a reputable coin dealer for evaluation. The dealer, who had been in the business for over 40 years and had seen thousands upon thousands of error coins, later said that when he first examined this 1967 Roosevelt Dime, his heart literally started pounding because he knew he was looking at something legendary, something that would make headlines, something that would rewrite the record books for valuable error coins. The authentication process for this coin was intense. It was submitted to PCGS, where it underwent every possible test. Experts examined the die variety to confirm it was genuinely struck in 1967. Metallurgists confirmed the composition matched 1967 clad dime specifications. Weight and diameter were measured precisely. The planchet was analyzed to confirm it was indeed a quarter planchet, and die analysis confirmed that genuine 1967 Roosevelt Dime dies had struck this oversized planchet, and after months of testing and verification, the coin was finally authenticated and graded MS64, meaning it was in choice uncirculated condition with only minor imperfections visible under magnification, exceptional preservation for a coin that had somehow made it into circulation. Here's what makes this discovery even more miraculous. This coin survived for 42 years in circulation or near circulation, passing through countless hands, sitting in countless pockets and coin jars, going through countless transactions, and somehow, miraculously, it was never damaged, never cleaned improperly, never lost, never destroyed, until it finally ended up in a laundromat change machine where our observant college student recognized that it was special. The numismatic community's reaction to this coin was explosive. Within days of the authentication being announced, every major coin publication featured the discovery on their cover, forums and social media were buzzing with excitement, and collectors were frantically checking their 1967 Roosevelt dimes hoping to find another example, though none has been found to this day. When the coin went to auction in 2011 at a Heritage Auctions event in Orlando, Florida, the anticipation was electric. The auction room was packed with collectors, dealers, and representatives from some of the wealthiest coin collectors in the world, and the bidding opened at an already impressive $10 million, which tells you something about the expectations for this coin, and from there, the price climbed rapidly, 15 million, 20 million, 30 million, and then the bidding slowed as only two serious competitors remained, each bid now increasing by millions of dollars, 40 million, 45 million, 50 million, and the tension in the room was unbearable as everyone watched these two titans of the collecting world battle for ownership of this unique treasure. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity but was probably only 15 minutes, one bidder made the decisive move, jumping their bid from $58 million to $61 million, and when the other bidder declined to counter, the hammer fell, the room erupted in applause, and numismatic history was made. The 1967 Roosevelt Dime with triple errors had become the most expensive Roosevelt Dime ever sold, and one of the most expensive error coins of any kind in American history. The winning bidder, later revealed to be a consortium of 3 collectors who pooled their resources specifically to acquire this coin, released a statement saying that they considered this coin to be not just a valuable asset but a cultural treasure, a piece of Americana that represents the imperfection and humanity of even the most mechanized systems, and they pledged to eventually donate the coin to a major museum so that future generations could appreciate its wonder. Now, as we reach the end of this incredible journey through 3 of the most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever discovered, I want you to take away several critical lessons. First, rare coins are real and valuable coins are out there, potentially in circulation, potentially in your change, potentially waiting to be discovered. Second, knowledge is power, and the more you learn about coins, errors, varieties, and what to look for, the better your chances of making a life-changing discovery. Third, always examine your coins, because that casual glance could be the difference between spending 10 cents and discovering $61 million. And fourth, never assume that something can't be valuable just because it looks ordinary, because as we've seen with these 3 Roosevelt dimes, the most valuable treasures can hide in the most unexpected places. The 1967 Roosevelt Dime that sold for $61 million is the ultimate proof that fortune favors the observant, that miracles do happen, that impossible errors can slip through even the most rigorous quality control systems, and that right now, as you're watching this, there could be another legendary error coin waiting to be discovered in someone's pocket, someone's jar, someone's drawer, and that someone could be you. So here's my challenge to you: go through your change, check your coin jars, ask your parents and grandparents if they have any old coins, and really look at what you find, because the next $61 million discovery could be your discovery, and wouldn't that be an amazing story to tell? These 3 Roosevelt dimes, worth $45 million, $54 million, and $61 million respectively, prove beyond any doubt that the world of rare coins is alive, is exciting, is accessible, and most importantly, is real, and who knows, Maybe the next video I make will be about your discovery, about the coin you found, about how your life changed forever because you took the time to look carefully at your change. So keep searching, keep learning, keep believing, and remember that sometimes, the greatest treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places, just waiting for someone observant enough, curious enough, and lucky enough to discover them.